This is Joe Wayne with the AntiCoIntelPro show, as well as the Organic Overlord, and the brand new InstinctForSurvival.com. Now, let's get right to it. Lucifer. Just who was this Lucifer fellow? Well, let's see. In the Christian Bible, Lucifer was mentioned but once, folks, and he was mentioned in Isaiah 14:12, and it reads, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning." So this is a very often and little understood word. It comes from the Hebrew word Hallel, which simply means shining one. Young's Concordance, Morning Star. Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, Bright Star or Splendid Star. Jacintius, Hebrew, Chaldee, Lexicon, I know I butchered that, etc. Lucifer is the Latin word which was translated from Hallel, which is not a proper noun, but is a word that tells us something about the one spoken of. The Hebrew does not indicate that this is a personal name, not in the remotest sense. Nonetheless, the Latin translators rendered it as such. Moving on. The first problem, folks, with Lucifer is, again, Lucifer is a Latin name. So how did it find its way into a Hebrew manuscript written before there was a Roman language? To find the answer, I consulted a scholar at the library of the Hebrew Union College in Cincinnati. What Hebrew name, I asked, was Satan given in this chapter of Isaiah, which describes the angel who fell to become the ruler of hell? The answer was a surprise. In the original Hebrew text, the 14th chapter of Isaiah is not about a fallen angel, folks, but it is about a fallen Babylonian king who during his lifetime had persecuted the children of Israel. It contains no mention of Satan, either by name or reference. The Hebrew scholar could only speculate that some early Christian scribes writing in Latin used by the church had decided for themselves that they wanted the story to be about a fallen angel, a creature not even mentioned in the original Hebrew text, and to whom they gave the name Lucifer. So, questions about Lucifer, the only angel whose name does not end in an L. Most of the names are from Hebrew. The element L in Hebrew means God, and is widely used in names both angelic and human. Gabriel means God is my warrior. Emmanuel means God is with us. Joel, Yahweh, is God. Michael, who is like God. Raphael, God has healed. Uriel, light of God, and so on and so forth. But Lucifer is a Latin name, meaning literally light bringer or light bearer, or carry. Also in Christopher, he who carries Christ. The saint of the name often being depicted in religious paintings as carrying an infant Jesus on his shoulder. So that was Christopher, he who carries Christ. So how Lucifer got to be used as the name of the devil is a very complicated story. In the book of the prophet Isaiah, there is a passage talking about the king of Babylon. He was not a favorite of Isaiah's. Verse 12 of the chapter runs the oldest known version of the Bible. How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of the morning. Have you ever been cut down to the ground, who laid low the nation. This is from the Dead Sea Scrolls. The king of Babylon had apparently been given, or perhaps himself assumed, the title Daystar, which is a name for the planet Venus. The planet are stars seen in the morning just before the sun rises. Hence, the king was also called Son of the Morning. The identification of important monarchs with heavenly bodies has always been common, as, for example, King Louis of France was called the Sun King. Now, the word Lucifer, light bearer, was the Latin term for the day star, or morning star, because it brought it or bore the light of the day. There you go, folks. There you have the actual historical documentation. Okay, this isn't subjective. This is objective, right? This is something that is agreed upon by not people who have never researched it, but by historians, PhDs, and alike, who have spent their lives, just researching every scintilla about this, right? So whenever your preachers or your priest or your mullahs in the Islam religion or whatever, whichever type of religious zealot leader stands on their pedestal and looks down on you and judges you and tells you what he was told, not what he has learned, but what he was told to tell you. Why? Well, to get that 10% every week. And those 10% of all of the flock of sheep adds up to a pretty penny. And that's why a lot of these priests and preachers are driving, things like Hummers, Mercedes-Benz, Rolls-Royces. Yeah, that's right. Because you sheep are so foolish as to not research what you are told. You just do as you are told. That being said, let's move on to the actual Christian religion and the literal authors of the Christian religion, right? Who authored the Christian religion? I know a lot of you sheep, I refer to you as lemmings myself because you blindly follow and jump over the cliff of disinformation and you are being used, right? And they use your emotions and your emotional attachment and your age-old programming against you. Okay? So, Professor Bruno Bauer, in his work of 1877, Christ and the Caesars, stated that he had concluded that the Romans had authored the New Testament and that Flavius Josephus was the inventor of Jesus. James Ballantyne Haney next wrote about the Roman authorship of the New Testament in his 1925 work, The Rise, Decline, and Fall of the Roman Religion, in parentheses, Christianity. Abelard Reuchlin found the key to unraveling just who the actual authors were, and that the authors were to be found in the Roman Piso family, who were part of the Piso-Flavian dynasty. He authored a booklet that came out in 1979 and is available from the Roman Piso homepage. In 2003, Joseph Atwell discovered that the Roman Emperor Titus Flavius, working with Flavius Josephus and other authors in his patrimony, wrote the New Testament. Atwell deduced this by comparing the Judean War and the New Testament. The Judean War, written by Flavius Josephus, was originally part of the Christian Bible and was removed around 1100 CE. The Roman origin of Christianity, released as Caesar's Messiah by Joseph Atwell, documents the creation of the New Testament as a Roman satire devised to win over Judean dissidents by deceiving them into believing that the emperor, Titus Flavius Vespasiani, I'm sure I butchered that, was Jesus. I know it sounds strange, right? But that seems to be the way it is. Titus took great pleasure in calling himself the greatest forger in history. There are now several million persons who know about the Piso theory, Atwell's book, and the true authorship of the New Testament. Moving on. Now, folks, I have given you the historical documentation about Lucifer, not the imaginary devil, not imaginary Satan, because they're all imaginary, folks. I've given you the historical documentation about the Flavians creating the Christian religion, or at least, the very least, the New Testament. So now, what I would like for you to pay attention to is this little passage from the Bible. Jesus, the prophet, the Son of God, there's a famous story of him, in the Bible going over and turning over the tables of the money changers. Yes? Okay. So when and I've known about this passage, of course, for years and years and years, but this makes perfect sense when you think about who actually wrote the Christian religion or the New Testament or whatever. This makes perfect sense. And this passage is out of Mark 12:17, paying taxes to Caesar. They brought one, and he said, and here they are, and they were talking about a coin with Caesar's likeness on it. They brought one, and he said to them, whose likeness and inscription is this? And they said to him, Caesar's. And Jesus said to them, render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. And they were amazed at him, and I'm sure they were. If this, well, it didn't actually happen, but it's a good story. And of course, to make the story believable, you have to put in a believable reaction from these religious, zealots, that are being told something completely oppositional to other stories about Jesus in the Bible. So Jesus would turn over the carts of the money changers, but in the same breath, he said, hey, wait a minute, Caesar's okay with me. I'm sure Caesar was okay with you because Caesar was the author of the Bible and the inventor of Jesus and the whole dig dang doggedy thing, God, sorry, I'm just channeling Ned Flanders there. It's completely ridiculous, folks. And the main reason I come to the mic this morning is because we have to, folks, if we ever want to break out of this global insanity. We don't know who we are or where we came from, because instead of researching these lies that have been spoon-fed to us for centuries upon centuries, well, we just would rather bathe in the lie. No matter how many people, how many millions and billions of people throughout the centuries this lie has killed, right? How many babies, how many women, how many children, how many old disabled people, how many people have been killed to suborn this lie, to keep it going? How many minds have been totally destroyed because of emotion, right? Because of their attachment to their emotions, because of their attachment to these lies. And the writers of these lies have used your emotions, your hope, your fear, against you. They have used your fear and your hope against you, knowing that you are too dang lazy to ever research their lies, even when they're telling you to your face, as they did when they wrote the passage, right? Where Paul said, being a crafty fellow, I caught you by deceit. And I believe that's in Timothy. Being a crafty fellow, I caught you by deceit. He's telling everyone, Titus Flavius is telling everyone, I fooled you all, and they are still fooling you all. The Romans have ran things. The Roman Empire never rescinded. It never went away. They just rebranded as the Roman Catholic Church, and they are still running things to this day with the help of their bookkeepers, the Zionist Khazarians, the Rothschild banking cartel. Yes, they are the bookkeepers of the Vatican. And they share the loot they get by all of the lies and deception and death and control, right? They put you guys in this little box so you cannot even turn around to see who is attacking you, right? You can't move. You're boxed in this little bitty box, and most of you have put yourself in this box. That's right. You have put yourself in this box. You refuse because your emotions are still controlling you, folks. Emotions don't control the elite, right? No, they don't. But they use your emotions to control you. They're not right, left, or center. They're fascists. They're corporate fascists. They're authoritarians. They will say whatever they have to say to control you. They will say whatever they have to say to keep the lie and the control of this world going. And you, unfortunately, will not listen to the ones who actually have taken a lifetime to research these lies and who are in vain trying to scream out the truth to people who are blind, deaf, and dumb to reality. They're the 88% of the masses that I talk about. They live in complacency, right? They're so happy to let others tell them what to do, what to say, what to think. Because if they do that, then they have someone else to blame. Oh, the devil made me do it. Oh, God hates me. No, it's not God. It's not devil. It's you and your complacency and your refusal to see the truth that is right in front of your face, that is being screamed out on literally every megaphone that we can find to use, but you just can't hear it. It's like we're speaking Greek. The truth is literally Greek to the sheep, right? Because they're controlled by their emotions, by their hopes, and by their fears. And let me tell you why this means so much to me, folks. I have a son. I have a son. And when my son was born, I just had my second back surgery, right? 2 weeks after my second back surgery, I had staples in my back. I was in the hospital with my ex with staples in my back, and the doctor, seeing the staples, said, "What are you doing here?" Knowing that I was going to injure myself even that much more. But I did, and I caught my child, my son, Joseph. I caught him, and I cut the umbilical cord, and I was there, and I would do it all over again. So what has happened? Me and his mother never saw eye to eye because she bathes in the lie of the religious zealots. She bathes in the lie of Titus Flavius, believing everything he lied about without ever having one single solitary move to protect herself. No. No, she bathes in the lie because she uses the church as much as the church uses her, right? It's a symbiotic relationship. So basically, over the past few years, I cut off communication with her because I could not talk to her. I was never married to her because, we just argued. We argued. And if you argue with a person more than you agree with that person, then you shouldn't be together. I mean, let me speak from experience. Somebody who loves you does not emotionally tear you down every day and does not belittle you and treat you like you're the dumbass for not buying the lie and bathing in the lie and deception as she does. Because I'm an educated person, folks. I'm an engineer by nature, a very analytical person. I'm also an esoterical and spiritual person, but I research what I am told. I haven't watched TV in over 6 years for a reason, folks. And when I stopped watching the boob tube, the brain drain, I started to awaken spiritually and mentally, or mentally and spiritually, whatever. Then I started to be able to have the ability to break out of the box and start to find out who was attacking me with lies and deception and controlling me. So, my son calls me the other day, and what came up on my caller ID, right? Joseph Okanya's, that's what came up. That's right, Joseph Okanya's. My wife has illegally, right, given my son her husband's name. This is something I can never forgive. My son is old enough, to know better. His mother and her 55-year-old husband are more than old enough to know better, and they should have realized there are going to be serious repercussions for many, many years for them forcing this lie on my son and then putting it right in my face by having my son call me on the new phone they just bought him with my ex's husband's last name. Well, I haven't talked to my son since, because I'm hoping against hope that they will get the message that they really don't know what they have started. They, as I always tell everyone, actions have consequences, and they do not realize the consequences that their actions, or they don't care about the consequences that their actions have created for probably a lifetime for my son. That being said, that's just one of the many reasons, folks, that I am so, dead set against blind lemming followers. Blind lemming followers just jump off the cliff whenever their leader tells them to. Christian, religious leader, political leader, party leader, they just follow them and jump right off the cliff with them without ever looking over the cliff to see what they're jumping into. They have destroyed millions and billions of lives throughout the centuries, and they are still doing it in any and every conceivable way. Right? From, totally programming these people so that they will not hear the truth even when it's being screamed at them right in front of their face. No, they won't hear it. Not only are their believers still believing the lie and spreading the lie and causing just heartache worldwide, but other believers of other religions, the Islamic religion, You know, the Muslims going around cutting people's heads off. You know, because they refuse to go by their dictates. These tyrants have to fall. And the only way they fall is if you finally will open your eyes and your ears and see and hear the truth that I am trying to give you. You know, this will be the thing that saves the world. And the inactions of the world to change this lie and see the truth will be the death of this world. Mark my words. This is Joe Wayne with the AntiCoIntelPro show. Good day. Oh yeah, by the way, folks, please check my Patreon page. I have a video, a default video on the on my channel. But it's, I think, the last video. It's becoming harder and harder for me to produce the content that I produce, folks, unless I have a little bit of help from my friends and the AntiCoIntelPro show family. So if you would, check out my Patreon page. Check out the video. There are going to be some rewards. I will be, and the rewards are on the Patreon page for you people who are kind enough to support me, you know, so that I can continue to spread real truth, you know, real news, real researched news, right? I'm not just giving my opinion. I'm giving you objective truth, historical truth. But I digress. This is Joe Wayne with the AntiCoIntelPro show. Good day.